It's time for the Nelson HR Report with Vanessa G. Nelson. Hello, leaders. Welcome to my second Nelson HR Report. I plan to come on every month to talk to you about current HR hot topics. So let's begin by talking about the FMLA. The FMLA form has recently been extended to 2021. It's a brand new form. So I advise employers to go out there and check out the new form. Make sure you're compliant, even if you're using your own customized form. Grab that form, check, make sure, compare it to your form. Make sure you're compliant, and it's going to be extended till August of 2021, so you don't have to worry about any new form for the next 3 years. The next hot topic is the governor of Michigan, Rick Snyder, will be signing an executive directive on Friday banning the box. And by banning the box, I mean that convicted felons will no longer have to check the box stating that they are a convicted felon and that they have been in prison. And it will no longer be considered in the initial hiring process whether a person is a convicted felon or not. And this is to go into effect on October the 1st, and it's for state applications. So he's implementing it for state applications. Now, what does that mean to you as an employer? Well, it means that you should make sure that your policies are kind of ready to go, because it will most likely go statewide. So what you want to do is look at your policy, make sure it's not a blanket policy. And by blanket policy, I mean that it would say every person that's a convicted felon, it could not be considered for employment. So you want to make sure that you have a policy that states that you consider people with convictions on a case-by-case basis. And then you want to review each case separately in order to make a determination whether they're eligible to be hired or not. And it's best to wait until after the initial hiring process and consider it after you've made an offer. Then you look into their criminal history. The next topic is about New York. New York recently implemented a law that employers that have 15 or more employees should have annual harassment training. And they have to start the training by October the 9th. The training must meet or exceed the standards that are required by the state. What does this mean to employers? Well, it means that you should be gearing up to do this, to have annual harassment training for your staff. The EEOC, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, they already encourage employers to have harassment training in order to protect you from, litigation or non-compliance. So it's a good thing to do. It's a win-win for the company. It can promote higher productivity and improve morale by having annual harassment training. So by New York starting this law, it's bound to go further than New York. So just be prepared, and it's a good thing to do in the interim before the laws change here in Michigan. Now, leaders, the next topic I want to talk to you about is a very sensitive topic. I've received phone calls about it, and basically it's about politics. They've called me and told me that there's been issues in their workplaces with these conversations getting heated. Actually, things are getting out of hand because tempers flare when they're talking politics. So they said, what can we do about it? How can we keep this politic thing in control? So I have 5 ways of dealing with politics in the workplace, and I wanted to share them with you today. And the 5 are: make sure your managers are trained to not have discussions about politics in the workplace, not have conversations about that. And the reason being is the manager sets the tone. So you want to make sure that he or she is not out having conversations promoting these tempers to flare. Secondly, create or update your harassment policy. And you can include information in there about what is harassment and what is not, because people have different views, and if one person might try to enforce their views on another person, it could become harassment. So you want to make sure you create and update your harassment policies. Number 3, you want to communicate those policies with your employees. make sure they understand what harassment is, and make sure they understand your view on political activities. And then number 4 is you want to make sure you're banning any type of political slogans, t-shirts, hats, jerseys, anything with political slogans or logos. You want to ban those from the workplace, because that's also can become a form of harassment. And number 5, you want to avoid political endorsements, because when companies endorse political figures, certain figures, it can promote negativity among the staff because they may feel differently than you. And then this takes away from productivity because they're having this anger and these feelings that slows down their work. So you want to make sure you avoid those things. Okay, now it's time for the tip of the month. Yay! And so the tip of the month this month is regarding the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. And what I want to talk to you today about, leaders, is the fact that oftentimes you get a person that comes in and needs an accommodation, but you might have a hard time understanding what type of accommodation to give them, or making a determination on whether to give it to them or not. If it's an undue hardship, are you required to do it? Because suppose they want an accommodation that requires them time off in the morning, or extra time off after the FMLA exhaust. Well, there's a website that can help you, and it's called askjan.org. And what it is the Job Accommodation Network. And they actually have people on staff that are waiting for you to call them and ask them the questions that you need to ask. They're experts in the accommodation field, and they will give you the information and tell you how you can accommodate a person. And even after they give you the information, they send you an email citing the laws and everything you need that you could just file with your paperwork to have that on file. And also, it's tons of resources on the website where you can go in and you can actually print out forms where, say you need a form that they can request an accommodation, you can have them complete that form. You can have letters in there where you can give them to tell them if it's approved or not. It's all types of resources in there for employers. So go to askjan.org for more information. So that concludes our second Nelson HR report. Thank you for watching. See you next month.
Learn how to protect your organization and improve your bottom line. Get your copy of Vanessa's book, 101 Costly HR Mistakes and How to Fix Them. Her book is packed full of real-life experiences and available to you now at Amazon.com or NelsonHRReport.com.